Dixieland, Season 1, Episode 2. Changes Don't Come Natural, Chapter 2 through Chapter 7. Chapter 2, May 1966. Everyone knows that Emmylou Cole was the prettiest woman in Daniels County until 1964, when my mother unfortunately passed away at the ripe old age of 29. No matter what anybody thought, the Coles were not rich. However, we did have a family cemetery, 4 acres, next to the Bridgets. The tiny plot of land was bought March 9th, 1851, and just an hour later, Jackson Cole Sr. died. For 115 years of age, every tombstone was legible. The main part was for the Jacksons and their spouses. While Jackson took Ray to our mother's grave, I read tombstones, mumbled under my breath, as to not sound insane. Jackson Sanders Cole Sr., October 26, 1774, through March 9th, 1851. Mabel Cole, his loving wife, of course, read the exact same. While reading, I noticed there was something of a tradition. Every Jackson's wife was born and died the same day as them, except for my mother and Rosemary Cole. Jackson Sanders Cole Jr., June 26, 1799, through January 31st, 1876. Mary Ann Cole read the same. However, the first anomaly was Jackson Cole Sanders III, October 18th, 1815, through December 3rd, 1837. Rosemary Ray Cole, August the 24th, 1809, through September the 14th, 1865. Jackson Cole Sanders IV, November 4th, 1835, through August the 9th, 1912. Myla and Cole read the same. I began to think the tradition was a curse reading these, but I never noticed it before. This being my 6th year I was here, I'll never know. Jackson Cole Sanders V, May 30th, 1861, through March 1st, 1938. Violet Sue Cole read the same. Papaw 5 died 1 year before Jackson was born. And finally, past where Papaw 6 will be buried in Memel. One day, hopefully not soon. Past where my father will be was Emmylou Jean Cole, born August 29th, 1935 through September 9th, 1964. Jackson noticed me deep in thought and asked what was wrong, to which I responded the usual, nothing. Jackson is the oldest of his brothers. Uncle Franklin Cole was born in 1940. Uncle Dwight Cole was born in 1941. Uncle Whiskey Cole was born in 1942. None of them have children except Uncle Franklin Cole had a daughter in 1963, but she died 6 months later. When my dear family arrived at the cemetery, Uncle Dwight Cole drove us home. The house is rather big, but again, we're not rich. Nor will we ever be. But it's 4,000 square feet and hard to manage. With what money we've had, maybe 40% of the house is habitable by standard of living. Upon arrival, Jackson immediately wanted to talk about business with Uncle Franklin Cole and Uncle Dwight Cole, so Uncle Whiskey Cole was told to watch the children upon being the youth of 24 and closest to our age. At 10:26, Miss Mary Keller came to the door, asking if Jackson was home. Miss Mary Keller was 31, and if Mother was the prettiest, Miss Mary Keller was second, and has had her eyes out for Jackson since he married Mother on May 12, 1956. However, Jackson, so afflicted with love for our mother, hasn't thought about another woman since 1945. However, Jackson came downstairs and immediately wrapped his arm on hers to my astonishment and walked right out with Miss Keller. Chapter 3, June 1966. While in the car, after dropping Ray off at Mr. Rowe's house to stay with Elizabeth for a while, Jackson asked me to jump into the front seat and talk to him a moment. Son, would you mind if me and Miss Keller started a relationship with one another? What the hell are you asking me for? Grabbing on her like that, Jackson said in a stern voice. Don't say hell or you'll go there, and don't ever speak of women in such a way. Sorry, sir, I mumbled. To which Jackson was quick. Cowboy up, son. Men don't whine or mutter. Speak clear. Yes, sir, I had with false enthusiasm. Jackson quickly responded. Sarcasm don't help either. Jackson Sanders Cole the Ninth. Yes, sir, I said, even more enthusiastically, to which Jackson muttered under his breath, smartass. What? I thought men didn't mumble, I remarked on cue, to which Jackson laughed, and then asked his question again. Son, may I marry Miss Keller? I don't see why not. Miss Keller's a sweet lady. Thank you, Jackson said happily. Jackson then took me to get ice cream and a baseball magazine, and we played catch in the park for the rest of the day. Miss Keller would ask Ray permission to marry her father. However, Ray, someone I despise but adore at the same time, only knows as many words as her age, 2. So, of course, all she said was yes. 3 days after our little car meeting, Jackson would propose to Miss Keller, and as part of some ancient Keller tradition, she went 120 miles to the hotel on the north end of the county until the day of the wedding, which was scheduled for August 3rd, 1968. Why it was so far away, I would never know. Chapter 4, July 1966. My summer was rather uneventful. However, on the 27th of July, some horrible clashing came into my world. Miss Keller was pregnant with a younger sibling. It made me so unhappy and miserable that I consulted Ray. And though her third word, a rather nasty word, a 2-year-old has no business knowing, none less a lady. I found this out when I was on the swing with Mary talking about her daddy. She cried, and I held her until she cried it out. However, Mary's life would soon be flung in further into peril when Jackson called me and Mary into the house and explained the great tragedy that had become. Jenny Silver had been killed in an attack of racial violence, and by some despicable plan of the devil, Jackson was chosen as the defense attorney for John Crow, the man who did the awful crime. Mary would move to Mobile, Alabama with her grandparents, and I probably would never have saw her again. Jackson, knowing how upset I was, a week later came in and handed me a wrapped gift. I opened it, and to my surprise, a new Hank Williams record that I still have on my wall today. However, autographed is Mr. Hank Williams' signature. I thanked him and went to bed. In fact, 10:48 was a little late for me. Chapter 5, August 1966. Jackson defended John Crow to his fullest extent. He said he would not be a servant of the United States of America if he didn't, and defend that man to his best ability. John Crow went free. I haven't noticed it, but Jackson was only 27, and his red hair started to gray. He had dark auburn hair until lately. Now at least 7 grays could be seen most of the time when he was outside. 15 was visible. Chapter 6, September 1966. My terrible summer finally came to an inevitable end the day Jackson drove me to school. There's not many schools in Daniels County. The county is 100 miles long and 50 miles wide. There's George Washington Preschool, John Adams Kindergarten, Thomas Jefferson Elementary School, James Madison Middle School, and James Monroe High School. First grade wasn't as painful as kindergarten, I heard. However, what I was worried about was I'd be around 10-year-olds. Being 4 years older than I, it is the eldest of use I've ever had to be my senior. I lived in Shelby, one of the 4 towns in Daniels County. After Mary moved, I'm the eldest in Shelby. That's a 4-hour drive from Frankfort to Shelby. I know this because since 1963, Jackson has gone to Frankfort to talk to the governor. Upon Governor Bridget being from Shelby, 10 years Jackson's senior, Governor Bridget was born in 1929, and in 1951 he left Shelby to Frankfort and became a member of the Kentucky House of Representatives. In 1964, he was the representative for Kentucky, and of January 1966 won the Kentucky governorship. After school, Jackson asked if I wanted to see a Hank Williams Jr. show with him in Tennessee that weekend. Of course, I agree. Hank Williams Sr. died 7 years before I was born, but he's been my hero since I was 3. I wore his music note suit for Halloween of 64 and 65. Definitely will this year. Hank Sr. is my hero, and Hank Williams Jr. would make him proud. Something that's been in our family since the very beginning of time. Well, I guess the very beginning of time for our family is 1795. But the rebel flag we had since 1861. It was given to our family when Jack V was born. It is kept in excellent shape and is folded every time it's used. Every time a coal dies, it is raised to half-mast. Most important landmarks of it is the first time it was flown for a Jackson was 1912, and in 1938 the last time the flag was flown, 28 years ago. The weekend came and I wore my Hank Sr. jacket to the show, and it's something I will never forget. Chapter 7, October 1966. Halloween came, and Jackson, of course, sent me off to the streets with Ray. Ray was an Indian, and I surprisingly, he knew how to walk by now. Everything was great until 11. Shelby shut off for trick-or-treaters, when again fate would have a cruel idea of justice. Everyone began screaming and shouting and running the opposite side of Main Street. It stretched through Shelby. Around the corner with torches and guns came two men, all running towards me. Ray. What they wanted, of course, we wouldn't understand. Other than what is justice isn't always justice. Dixieland is brought to you by Phoenix and Blue Jay Studios, Jump Entertainment Studios. And Dixieland has contribution writers like Jesse Jones, Justice Sillians. We thank you for your contributions to the show. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Dixieland. See y'all later.